All right, team, a quick overview of how to run an efficient interview, like how we're doing here with Prime Group. And so the very first step is to make sure that they watch the overview video, okay? And so if it doesn't happen, then I want to make sure that it happens, and I say something similar like, hey, I just wanted to hop on here and, talk to you really quick and just introduce myself. My name is Diego. I'm here with Family First Life. Or I say, if it was someone passed on, I say, yeah, I work with Mariana, or I work with Desiree here with Prime Group or Family First Life. It depends on how it was coming from, but I work with the source of where they obviously were interested in it. Okay, and then I say, now did you get a chance to watch the overview video? And they say, no, I didn't. And so then and usually at this point, I know that I haven't confirmed that they've watched the overview video, that I ask about the overview video so soon. So that way I can tell them, no worries, the overview video is going to be about 15 minutes and it's going to explain a lot of things. And so that way, we can both be on the same page and I can better help you. And when would you want to get back on the phone after you've watched that video? It takes 15 minutes to watch the video. How soon do you want to get back on the phone? And so then usually I see people get it like they say, well, this afternoon or tomorrow, right? And then that's how I set that up. So then when I get on the phone, I then ask them, I go through form. And so family, occupation, recreation, and then their motivation, right? And so it would look like a conversation and just kind of being interested in them. And so I've done a couple now, and one of them could be like, hey John, I know we talked earlier, how you doing? And then say, I'm good, man. And then I ask them and so where you're at, have you always been there? They say, yeah, I have always been there. No. And I ask them then, so where they're at, kind of then they then might tell you about their occupation right there. And so I am now curious about where they're at, their location, and their occupation, and then that can lead into their family. Is their family local? And the family then also kind of leads into motivation. Is it your family local? And so you have kids. If they don't have any kids, then maybe they are more money driven because they don't have that, or maybe they're time driven. And so then the way I kind of transition into that, I ask them more things, different things, awesome, what do you like to do on your time off? Someone that's driven into money, maybe where I said, well, honestly, I love playing soccer, but I just want to make more money. So when you ask me what I like whatever I like, but I like to on the weekends make more money, right? And so that's where I was at, didn't have a kid. And so versus someone that then maybe does, maybe they like time with their dog. But you want to know what their motivation is moving forward. So that after I've gotten the form, family, occupation, recreation, what they do at work, and then their motivation of why they like to keep moving forward, I then move forward and I ask them now let's go over the video. Now I look like I'm in business, what are we doing? And so I ask them about the video. What are the things that you liked about the video? And then they tell you whatever they liked. They might have liked the time, they liked everything, right? And so then that's usually what they say, right? They're really excited about it. And I ask them, now, do you have any questions? Sometimes people have questions like, how much do you dial? How much do you spend on money? How much money do you make? And what does the job look like? You answer all those questions, and I get them to just understand the scariness of the business, right? Or anything, whatever it is, whether it's how often I dial, the kind of systems I use, if I spend money on those. And the way I answer that is something similar to this. So if they say, how much does it cost? The way I learned to answer that is I say the average agent is spending about $1,000 to $2,000 a week on leads. That's the way that way they can be very effective and make the most money. But some of our agents are starting also with no money, and we help them create. We've actually created really good systems to generate warm market sales. And so that way we can leverage the contracts being so high with the way Sean has set it up. So that way we can get you up and running fairly fast and then get you to that average that other agents are spending, right? And so how much money do you need to start? I always recommend, starting with $500, and our average agent that has a lot of success has that to start out with. Now, if that's maybe not where you're at, you're uncomfortable, we do have a lead program, and we have different ways to meet you where you're at. If we decide to partner, we'll look into those options. That's another key one, is saying if we decide to partner, because that's an interview, right? So once the questions are asked is another great opportunity for you to say, well, if we decide to work this out, sometimes they say, well, after the video, what I'm curious about, how do I get started? So I say, if we decide that this is going to be a good fit, we actually would provide to you the study material, but it's a 20-hour course. Any other questions, right? And then they go into more questions, and they say, well, how much expensive is it for you to go into like business? Well, if we decide to work with you, what we do is our average agent does spend $500 from the get-go so they can have leads in hands and then make a lot of profits from the get-go. But let's say that's not you. We do have other agents that start with us, and if we decide to partner, we put a good script for warm market sales so that they can become profitable through the warm market to then get into the leads and become a profitable agency. Another thing we do is we also have a lead program. So let's say you don't have any more market sales. If we decide to partner, then we would then put you on a lead program where we buy the leads for you. We put the compensation down so that way we can afford this transaction, but it's all included within the contract. And I just said this today. I said, and the way it's set up, it never comes out of your pocket. You don't have to pay me. No one has to pay anybody. You just start working, and within the contract, we're paid to get you efficient and working. So it's just a really good program if they decide that's a good fit. Okay, and so that's a really good question. And then you move forward to the next question. And so then you do. After that, you've answered all the questions in the video. I then move to the next step, which is basically scaring them away, right? So now they've answered all the questions and they go, okay, that I understand how chargebacks work. I understand how much work we take, whatever. But that was them being in control because they're asking the question and you're just answering, right? So then you take control back and you ask them the questions to make sure that they understood the video, right? And so I asked certain questions such as like, now, I just want to make sure that you watched the video and that you made sense of the opportunity that we have here. And so one thing I have, and this is just something that's happened in real life for our team, is I had somebody get started and they were dialing for 1, 2, 3 weeks until they made their first paycheck, while somebody else at the same time got started and they started making a paycheck their first week and their second week and their third week. And then there was another 2 people that got started and they ended up not even making it to the third week because they weren't really getting paid what they felt like they deserved because they weren't good. They were just bad. And so if that was to be you out of those people, I would assume you've looked into it enough that you would be able to overcome like a couple weeks of not being paid what you feel like you deserve. Is that fair? You guys, did you see that? And then that's a scary question. They go, boom, they're like, well, no, I have more questions, right? And they have questions, and this is good because now you want to talk about how much work does it take to dial. What if it doesn't draft until the 4th and it's the 10th today, right? And you want to make sure that they are aware, like, hey, in this business, you might sometimes be paid under that contract because AIG, if someone's unhealthy, sometimes you get a $250 deal, expect a lot, but then you realize the contract is 60% because they have cancer or they're really unhealthy. Those are things that you need to know and expect and have you thought of that and have you looked into that? Because I want to make sure you're aware and I'm your guy on the inside to make sure we can help you out. And they will then they usually, the way I've seen it, is we're the professionals and they love to hear what we have to say and they now are ready to go. They go, no, that makes sense. And if they were scared, they're now not going to be about it. They go, okay, well, I'm scared and I don't trust the system, so I'm going to wait. And I usually tell them, like I've had someone say, I want to wait on it. And I say, no, that sounds good. And that's why if we think it's a good idea, we would put in a lot of the effort to make sure that because of the if, they were like, no, and what would it look like to get started? How would I get back in contact to like get going? And I said, well, what we would do is it's a 10-day program to getting started. So, but because you're taking it away, now they're actually wondering, and it's like they're not ready today, but what would it look like to get started? So it's really nice. So let's say I scared them away and they either, we're going to go through that. So at this point, you're now telling them questions that are scaring them, right? If we can now give them to a point where you feel like nothing is scaring them. They've already told you they're an overcomer. They're ready to not make money for 3 weeks. They have an income. They're not going to ditch it until they get better, but they're okay with like working extra hours to make sure that they make it happen. And then they bring back the why that you originally heard at the beginning, and they're now selling to you why it's going to work. And that's why this process really works, because you're scaring them, guys. And that's like a good thing. Like if I was to be told all the scariest things about this business from the very beginning, which I feel like I looked into and it was the case. So it's like, that's the best way to do it, is you want to make sure they're going, hey, chargebacks are going to come up. hey, everything that you can think of that's going to maybe scare someone away, you want to do it with a way. Now, and this is really important, so make sure you know this. Once I notice there's a temperature that I'm gauging as I'm scaring them to give them the reward, right? If they told me that, like, whoa, so sometimes you don't make any money for like 2 weeks, I'd say exactly. So for Declan's case, like I was saying, it took him 3 weeks, and then he was able to then make like 3,800 in that last week, which is not that great. Like for what we do, it's not that great to make only 3,800 in that month. But that's what it took for him. And so then you want to bring it up, right? And then I say, and then another point, and then I also then bring it back up another way is going like, because it takes a lot of work. It might take a month to 2 months to realize what it takes to even have the skills to be able to make $2,000 to $3,000 every single week, you know? And honestly, guys, I love saying that because $2,000 to $3,000 for most of the people that we're helping are like, they're really excited about that because $2,000 to $3,000 every single week, positive, it's a really good paycheck. And so, and we can definitely do that. Another thing, I would say if somebody said, another question that's pretty good is, and I haven't even gotten this much, but this would be a good question for someone to ask is like, how much of the return would you want to expect? And I would usually answer it with like the average agent, we want them to return 3 to 5x their income or their investment. So if you put in 1,000, we want to see 3 to 5x. So 3,000 to 5,000 positive in that week if you were to do that. And then the odds go even better the more leads you buy and the more work you do, right? And so that's that. And now let's say they're actually not bought in. I tell them, well, listen, what I want to do is I would rather just have you have our contact, and when you're ready and you can follow us and look at our things and see if this is going to be a good fit for you, you can reach back out. And it's a 10-day program to get on a fast track so you can have a higher compensation. It would start at 90% or 95%. And if it takes a little bit, then you just start at a lower comp. But when you're ready, I'd rather have you be ready to do that fast track program so you have a higher comp. So let's not start now while you're still like hesitating about it. Does that make sense? Boom. So now they're like, dang, well, when I get started, I'm going to be blasting. The other one, let's say they're very interested. Something I heard, and this is how I've been doing it. I say, so my assistant, and honestly for me, and I would say my assistant because this is what Tope told me to say, and I for me, this is what I say. My assistant, Megan, is actually my wife, so she's super awesome, and she's going to be helping you out with all the steps. We integrate and do this business together, and boom. But if it was not, and it was like Victoria, I'd say my assistant, Victoria, is going to get you contracted, and she's going to do this. But saying my assistant is going to be really good because you want them to know we do have an assistant in here. You know, Megan's here to assist you. Megan's here to assist me. Megan's assistant for all of us to help people get onboarded. And so it's your assistant, and you want to claim that because it's going to let them understand how this business is. When you're alone, you're not. When you're doing this business, you're actually not alone, and they're going to wonder, how do I get an assistant, right? And you ask, and this is the training you see so that we can make it happen, right? And being connected with people that, you know, so we can leverage each other's resources. And now, so I say, I'm going to get you connected with Megan, and what she's going to do is give you links on how to get onboarded. And what I'll be here is basically your inside guy. So any questions you have, you know, I'm going to be able to answer for you. Sometimes it's going at a fast pace. So then I try to slow it down again. And I say, now, before I get to that, because I think things are looking really good for us, do you have any other things that you want to ask me? Because I think might be a good fit if it works out that you can work really hard and it, you know, things are checking out. Because I mean, I do feel like you're really hungry. And he's going to say, yeah, no, I am really hungry. Maybe one more question, 2 more questions, right? And I think these are really good because the last couple of questions are maybe him going, I need to wait to do the fast track program, right? Because I'd rather have somebody ready to go than someone that's like, all right, do I come to dial session? Now let me chill. Like I'd rather be on that let's go system, right? And so then after they do that, I said, I'm going to pass you to Megan and I'm going to shoot you a text message to just put us all in a group chat together. And then she's going to text you, and sometimes she'll call to just get that taken care of. And here we always just reach out over call or text. But don't be afraid to call me. I'll be your inside guy, like I was just saying, because like you're going to see everything on YouTube, everything on Instagram, a lot of things. Use me to say, hey, can I meet this guy? Can I talk to this person or this question and this question? Because I'm the person on the inside that's trying to help you answer all these questions. At one point, I was on the other side, and I'm really thankful that I was helped by someone called Grady, and you're going to meet him and everything. But having that connection is going to be able to bridge that gap, and so that's what I want to do for you. So any other questions you think of? No, perfect. Well, dude, I'm looking forward to this, our extended, relationship together, and anything you can think of, like I said, give me a call. But I'll get that conversation here with Megan, and I'll talk to you here soon. Boom, and then that's it. From there, I then make a text message with the person and Megan, and then the role goes that she's gonna give them links. And another thing, maybe I didn't touch on this. Towards the end, I think about the $35 that it takes to pay for the test. So I sometimes even talk about when they're asking the questions, when I'm scaring them, I sometimes say, or if it's sounding good, I then ask them something like, now, for the course to be on licensed and everything, like I had a guy who was in a tough position, is paying for all the coursework to be licensed going to be a problem? And then it gave me a good answer that made me want to pass him along, right? But then you want to address that at some point, maybe after you've done scaring him, because after he's gotten scared and he's an overcomer, he's okay to overcome $300 to become licensed and make $3,000 a week. So I hope that helps, guys. And I wanted to put this together. We're going to do a little script, but this is the process, 16 minutes. Watch it on repeat. When you get someone on the phone, this is it. So I'll talk to you guys soon. You can call me for anything you need. Talk to you soon.